Hey there, thinkers! Welcome back to Critical Hit. My name is Est, and isn't this just delightful? Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power Season 2 is taking some bold, creative liberties. We're talking about Sauron and Galadriel. Yes, that Sauron, the Dark Lord himself, apparently getting involved in some kind of romance, because clearly Middle-earth needed more complicated relationships. Am I right? And hold on to your elven cloaks, because it seems like Middle-earth is finally getting a taste of modern diversity with a gay character making an appearance. How progressive! This season is shaping up to be a real roller coaster, and I can't wait to see how it all unfolds. Give us all the drama, intrigue, and of course, the juicy gossip. It's like Tolkien meets a soap opera, and honestly, no thank you. Oh, come on. If this is not what Tolkien would have wanted, and the cornerstone of great storytelling that they're going to go with is that the good girl has to fall for the bad boy. That's the brilliant, never before done concept Amazon is peddling with Rings of Power. Because, clearly, with all the vast, rich lore from Middle-earth, that's the best that they could come up with is a cliche romance angle. And it's not like they have a treasure trove of epic tales, right? And let's talk about the duality of Amazon for just a second. This is the same company that can turn out halfway decent shows, but when it comes to Rings of Power, with all the unimaginable resources and the obscene amounts of money at their disposal, more than any TV show in history, they somehow managed to make a complete, utter mess. It's like they looked at all the potential and said, nah, we're just gonna wing it and see what happens. So let's just break down this disaster piece by checking out this article from That Park Place. But of course, before we delve into the juicy details, we have a small request. If you are new here, consider hitting that subscribe button, smashing that like, and ring the bell to be notified for our next video. We would greatly appreciate this, since this will help us appease those YouTube algorithm gods. So we thank you. Now, let me give you my thoughts on this, and I wish I was joking. So let's get into this. Well, it seems J.R.R. Tolkien dodged a bullet by passing away long before this chaos ensued, and I bet you he's rolling in his grave. He missed the horror show that is Rings of Power, and honestly, maybe that's for the best. And the way that they butchered his legacy is just mind-blowing. And don't even get me started on the rumors about Galadriel and Sauron having a romantic storyline. I mean, come on. But you know what? I totally saw this coming. I said to Pin, just wait, they're going to turn Sauron into some tragic, misunderstood figure and have Galadriel fall for him. And now, here we are, watching it unfold. It's almost like I had a crystal ball or something. So go ahead, call me Hypnos or Estradamus, because I totally called it. Oh, what a treat. Let's take a peek at what's in store for Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power. In its second season, where it looks like the showrunners are on a mission to shake up Tolkien's world in the most baffling way, Charles Vickers and Patrick McKay have proudly announced that this next installment will dive headfirst into a romance between Galadriel and Sauron. Yes, you heard that right. A romance between one of the Middle-earth's greatest heroines, and its most notorious Dark Lord, because nothing screams faithful adaptation quite like a love affair that makes even the most seasoned Tolkien fan raise an eyebrow. But wait, there's more. McKay also dropped the bombshell that the show will include LGBTQ+ characters, because obviously shoehorning in modern representation in a fantastical setting is the perfect way to stay relevant. So who needs to respect the intricacies of Tolkien's universe when you can just toss in contemporary themes to make headlines? At the San Diego Comic-Con Hall H panel, the panelists Vickers, McKay, J.D. Pine, and Mefroid Clark were all too eager to confirm that the second season will expand into the romance tension between Galadriel and Sauron that was so subtly hinted at in the first season. Because when you're dealing with an epic lore and rich storytelling, clearly the best move is to focus on an ill-fated romance that nobody asked for. So here's the thing, the first season didn't even touch on romance. It had Galadriel trusting someone she really shouldn't have. But that's where it stopped. Now, the real circus began when a handful of ultra enthusiastic fans, probably only about 5 of them, took to Twitter in a frenzy, demanding a Galadriel Sauron hookup. They were practically losing their minds, tweeting nonstop of how they absolutely needed to see these two get it on. It was like they were living in their own fanfic fantasy and wanted everyone else to join in. So now, thanks to this bizarrely loud and obsessive corner of the fanbase, the showrunners are likely going to give in and deliver what could be the most outrageous plot twist ever seen in the Lord of the Rings universe. Now, imagine the drama when Galadriel and Sauron actually get together in the most over-the-top, cringe-worthy way possible. If you thought the first season was a wild ride, just wait, because season 2 is probably going to make the first one look like a quiet afternoon tea by comparison. The show's about to dive headfirst into a fan service dumpster fire. So Vickers pipes up with, "I think there's hope." Like, oh, really? That's the grand revelation you're gonna go with? McKay, always ready to hype things up, nudges him with, say it, say it. So Vickers finally agrees, saying, yeah, I think we will. Fan-fucking-tastic. Just to clarify for anybody who might be confused, in J.R.R. Tolkien's universe, Galadriel and Sauron never had a romantic entanglement. Why? Because she was married to Celeborn, who seems to be missing in action. Seriously, where the fuck is Celeborn? This entire season has done a stellar job of pretending he doesn't exist. They only mention him in passing at the tail end of season 1, and since then, he's been as invisible as a good plot twist. Nobody seems to care or even notice that he's not where he's supposed to be. Meanwhile, you've got these so-called Tolkien channels on YouTube, the ones who are practically groveling for mainstream attention, bending over backwards to sing praises of Rings of Power. They're out here pretending to be the ultimate lore authorities, but their idea of staying true to Tolkien's work is laughable. They can't even address the glaring omission of Celeborn, who, by the way, should be front and center. It's almost comical how they're trying to convince everyone that the show is at all accurate or worthy of any serious discussion, while conveniently ignoring the fact that the actual character of Celeborn has been completely erased from the narrative. Oh, this is just golden. It's like watching a train wreck of missed details. And let me unpack this for you, because apparently these so-called fans are totally missing the plot. In the Silmarillion, Tolkien lays out in black and white that Galadriel isn't just any elf. She was the queen of the woodland elves, wife of Celeborn of Doriath, and of the Noldor herself. Oh, and she had memories from before time, even in the Valinor. So basically, she was an absolute pinnacle of elven greatness in Middle-earth, and it gets better. During the Second Age, Galadriel wasn't just a pretty face with a crown, she was Sauron's arch nemesis. Tolkien doesn't just beat around a bush about this. In Unfinished Tales, he goes into detail about how Sauron, in his classic fashion, decides to disguise himself as a friendly emissary from the Valar. So, what the hell are these people smoking? How can you mess this up when it's all there in black and white? I can't even with these people. But here's the kicker. Sauron knew right away that Galadriel was going to be his biggest pain in the ass. He saw her as the one elf who wasn't going to fall for his games. So he put his best poker face on, trying to charm his way through, all while internally sweating bullets, because he realized that she was onto him. It's almost comical. Sauron knew that Galadriel was way too sharp to be fooled by his masquerade, so I want to make this clear as crystal. Galadriel wasn't just a bystander. She was actively dismantling Sauron's plans. She saw through his facade like it was made of clear glass, and Sauron, despite his best efforts, understood that she was going to be his greatest obstacle. So to put this into simplest of terms, Galadriel had Sauron's number, and he knew he was in for one hell of a fight. So now we're just supposed to swallow the idea that Sauron and Galadriel are suddenly a thing? That's not just dumb. It's a slap in the face to anyone who actually cares about J.R.R. Tolkien's legacy. I mean, Tolkien fans are going to be outraged. The amount of backlash the show is about to get will be completely epic. I'm not even going to torture myself with season 2. I barely survived the first one, and my sanity is precious to me. And if that weren't enough, Patrick McKay, the showrunner, is making things worse by being all vague about the LGBTQ characters. When asked if the show will feature any LGBTQ representation, the answer was a total cop-out. Maybe you've already seen one. Really? Why the cryptic nonsense? We all know it's because a direct answer would stir up more drama and controversy. I mean, classic move. Makes a bold statement and then dodge the accountability with a vague reply. The show is just a mess. So Amazon, the so-called saviors of modern entertainment, but they're more like the clowns of classic literature. Tolkien was pretty damn explicit that The Lord of the Rings was a deeply religious and Catholic epic. But, of course, Amazon doesn't give a fucking crap about that. And why should they? When it comes to adapting a juggernaut epic like this, their focus is clearly not honoring the source material's spiritual roots. No. Their top priority is to butcher it into the most mediocre, uninspired mess possible. And let's not forget the amount of cash that they threw at this dumpster fire. Over $1 billion for just 2 seasons. That's $500 million per season, people. Instead of creating something remarkable, they managed to turn out a series so disappointing it makes a soggy cardboard box look more exciting. They thought throwing money at the problem and dressing it up with a progressive cast would somehow shield them from the backlash. Oh, how wrong they were. And what did they even end up with? A torrent of online ridicule and a viewership drop so steep it could double as a roller coaster ride. They paraded their so-called diversity hires, like the Puerto Rican black elf, hoping that it would distract people from the train wreck that they were producing. I mean, spoiler alert, it didn't. And the result was an absolute PR disaster, with less than 30% of the viewers sticking around past the first couple episodes. They ended up with egg on their face, and it's the kind of egg that sticks around after the initial mess has been cleaned up. I mean, classic Amazon, throwing money at the problem and making it worse every fucking time. However, those are my thoughts on The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power Season 2. Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. And hey, before you go, subscribe to our channel, smash that like button, and ring the bell to be notified for our next video. As always, this is Est, and I'm signing off now. So I'll see you in the next one. Toodles!